Enzo Fernandez is undoubtedly the most dislikable, objectionable footballer in the entire World Cup.
One moment, Enzo Fernandez was Argentina's hero. Days later, his own club was quietly wiping away a post celebrating him. That wild turnaround started in a World Cup semi-final against England, when Enzo buried the biggest goal of his career from around 20 yards out with his left foot. The strike was so sharp that Jordan Pickford barely had time to react. But what happened next made the moment even more heated. Enzo charged toward the England supporters, cupped his ears, stuck out his tongue, and blew them a kiss. The celebration instantly became part of the story. Then, only 3 days later, everything looked different, with his own club deleting the post that had praised him.
Enzo Fernandez didn't just play for Chelsea today, he was also booed and met with, Enzo Fernandez. So it's a bit of a mixed bag on his return.
Now Enzo is heading back to London and Stamford Bridge, where plenty of fans still remember what happened in Atlanta and New Jersey. They saw him taunt England's national team, appear with the banner referencing a war in which 255 British soldiers died, and later get sent off in a World Cup final. Afterward, he posted on Instagram about something being bigger than results, but the apology many people expected never came. And that is where things get seriously awkward for Chelsea. One huge question is still sitting over Stamford Bridge, and so far, nobody at the club appears willing to answer it publicly. Chelsea supporters, England fans, and people across English football want to know what happens next.
There is not one redeeming feature to Enzo Fernandez. There is absolutely nothing about him that I find even mildly inspiring. He is a brat. He is a brat. He is an objectionable brat. He is incredibly dislikable, and some of his conduct, it's actually blown my mind.
Does Enzo Fernandez really return to London and walk straight back into Stamford Bridge like nothing happened? Or is there another move being discussed behind closed doors? Because this story got messy fast. We're breaking down the entire Enzo Fernandez situation, from the stunning goal and provocative celebration to the controversial banner, the red card, reports of Real Madrid stepping away, and a Stamford Bridge return that could bring a seriously tense reception. In just 4 days, Enzo went from being celebrated as a World Cup hero to becoming a major villain in the eyes of many English football fans. Now the real drama is what happens when he finally comes back. This is where the whole story really exploded. Go back to July 15th at Atlanta Stadium, England versus Argentina in a World Cup semi-final, with the pressure through the roof and England holding the advantage. Anthony Gordon had scored, and suddenly, 60 years of hurt looked like it might finally be coming to an end. Only 90 seconds separated England from reaching their first World Cup final since 1966. Then came the moment England fans were dreading. Messi helped open things up from a clever short corner routine, and Enzo Fernandez collected the ball right on the edge of the box. He shifted inside onto his left foot, spotted his chance, and ripped a strike from around 20 yards. Jordan Pickford stretched, but there was no stopping it. Just like that, England's dream went from feeling almost secure to hanging by a thread. The ball hit the net, 1-1. Atlanta suddenly felt divided right down the middle. And if you strip away everything that happened afterward, the goal itself was pure class. The technique was clean, the timing was ruthless, and the pressure was massive. Enzo had been dealing with the heat throughout the match, but when Argentina desperately needed somebody to deliver, he stepped up on the biggest stage of his international career and completely changed the game. On pure talent, that strike deserved all the attention it got. It had everything needed to become one of the standout World Cup goals of recent years. But within seconds, people were no longer talking only about the finish. Enzo sprinted toward the England supporters, and a moment that could have been remembered simply as a gifted player delivering under massive pressure suddenly became something far more controversial for English fans. He looked straight toward the England supporters behind the goal and cupped his ears. Thousands of fans dressed in white had just watched their World Cup dream take a brutal hit, and Enzo wasn't finished. He stuck out his tongue and then blew them a kiss. The message behind the gestures seemed pretty clear. I cannot hear your booing. Then came the attitude of, look at me. With cameras locked onto him, every second was captured. Before long, the celebration was getting nearly as much attention as the goal itself. Considering the opponent, the crowd, the timing, and the long history surrounding England versus Argentina, it was always going to hit a nerve. For many England fans, the celebration felt deliberately provocative. And at first, Chelsea appeared ready to celebrate the moment right alongside him. At first, Chelsea treated it like a massive moment for one of their biggest stars. Within minutes, the club's official account posted a celebration photo with an explosion emoji. This was their midfielder, their record signing, delivering on the biggest stage in world football. So naturally, Chelsea wanted to show some love. But the mood flipped almost immediately. Of his conduct, it's actually blown my mind, summed up just how stunned some people were. Sections of Chelsea's own support quickly pushed back, and fans who watch Fernandez every week at Stamford Bridge flooded the club's social media with criticism over what they had just seen. Then came the move that showed how messy things had become. The celebration post suddenly vanished. Within the hour, Chelsea had deleted a post celebrating their own player after he scored a massive World Cup semi-final goal. That quick switch said plenty about how heated the reaction had become. That deletion was no small move. A club celebrates one of its biggest stars, watches the backlash explode, and then removes the post almost immediately. It was an early warning that this story was moving far beyond one goal and one provocative celebration. Then came part 2, the banner, the reference to 255 British military deaths and a football rivalry suddenly colliding with a much deeper historical dispute. Fernandez was not the only Argentina player around that banner. Lo Celso took it first. Lisandro Martinez held one end. Christian Romero stood beside it, while Otamendi was there as well. Several Argentina players were involved, an important detail in understanding what happened, but the cameras kept coming back to Fernandez. By then, he had already become the main face of the controversy. After cupping his ears, sticking out his tongue, and blowing a kiss toward England supporters, every move he made was under the microscope. The banner read, "Las Malvinas son Argentinas." That translates to, "The Falklands are Argentine." Suddenly, this was no longer just football trash talk. The banner appeared shortly after Argentina had beaten England, while England's players were still on the pitch, and referenced the long-running Falkland Islands sovereignty dispute. It also carried obvious historical weight because of the 1982 Falklands War, the 74-day conflict following Argentina's invasion of the islands. The Falkland Islands remain a British overseas territory, while Argentina continues to dispute British sovereignty over them. This is where the situation became far more serious. The human cost of the 1982 war was devastating. 255 British military personnel died, along with 649 Argentine military personnel and 3 Falkland Islanders. These were real lives, real families, and decades of grief. So when that political message appeared during a World Cup celebration, the backlash quickly moved outside football and into international politics. Within 24 hours, Downing Street had responded. A spokesperson for the Prime Minister said, "The World Cup might not belong to England, but the Falkland Islands certainly do." Argentina's president called the players' actions perfectly valid. The White House defended Argentina's right to protest. FIFA opened an investigation. Suddenly, this was becoming a diplomatic story as much as a football one. And Fernandez was right in the middle of the storm. The cameras were already following him after he had blown a kiss toward the England fans, so he quickly became the face of the banner controversy, even though several teammates were involved. There was history behind the message as well. In 2014, FIFA sanctioned Argentina after the same "Las Malvinas son Argentinas" message was displayed before a friendly against Slovenia. The political dispute was familiar, and so was the message. But 12 years later, the spotlight was on another level. This was no ordinary friendly with limited attention. It was a World Cup semi-final watched across the globe, and the banner appeared directly after Argentina had knocked England out, while England's players and supporters were still processing what had just happened. That timing is a huge reason the reaction became so intense. For many people in Britain, the Falklands are tied to an actual war, military deaths, civilian loss, and families who still live with those memories. For many Argentines, the islands remain connected to a long-standing sovereignty claim. Bringing that political dispute into an already heated World Cup celebration meant the story was never going to stay inside the football bubble. And that brings Fernandez back into the spotlight. He was not the only Argentina player involved with the banner, but his celebration only moments earlier meant cameras and fans were already focused heavily on him. Seeing those two moments unfold almost back to back made the situation look even more charged to many viewers. Then came part 3, where Chelsea's problem became even more complicated. 4 days later, the whole story took another sharp turn. The spotlight shifted to MetLife Stadium for the World Cup final, Argentina against Spain. And Spain arrived with a defensive record that looked almost untouchable. They had conceded just 1 goal across the entire tournament, keeping 7 clean sheets in a run no team had ever matched at a World Cup. Against the defense that stubborn, Argentina needed discipline. There was no room for cheap fouls, reckless decisions, or players losing their cool when the pressure started climbing. But during the second half, Fernandez found himself in trouble. After angrily protesting a foul decision to referee Slavko Vincic, he was booked for dissent. That was yellow number 1. But Fernandez did not simply walk away. While Vincic was showing him the card, Fernandez sarcastically applauded the referee, instantly raising questions over whether he had pushed his luck. Former PGMOL chief and ex-FIFA referee Keith Hackett later told Football Insider that under Premier League standards, sarcastically applauding an official in that situation could have earned Fernandez another yellow card and an immediate sending off. He escaped that moment, but his night was about to get even messier. Fernandez survived that first flashpoint, but the pressure around him kept building. Already sitting on a yellow card in a World Cup final, he had almost no room left for another risky decision. 11 minutes before the red card eventually arrived, he had already escaped one dangerous moment. Then came the 93rd minute, and this time, there was no escape. Fernandez went into a high late challenge on Pau Kubasi. The referee reached for a second yellow, followed by the red. Argentina were suddenly down to 10 men, with another 30 minutes of extra time still to survive against a full-strength Spain side. The situation had gone from tense to brutal in seconds. Then, in the 106th minute, Ferran Torres scored. Spain 1, Argentina 0. Argentina was suddenly staring at defeat in a World Cup final, while Fernandez was already off the pitch. As he walked away, he wagged his finger toward the referee, a gesture some viewers interpreted as him rejecting the decision rather than accepting responsibility. Behind him, Argentina's World Cup hopes were fading, with Messi still on the pitch trying to rescue the final. Then, Fernandez posted on Instagram the following morning. He wrote that there is something much bigger than just a result, thanked the Argentine supporters, and said wearing his country's shirt is the greatest honor of his career. That message quickly became another talking point. The post did not directly address the red card, the finger wag, or Argentina being forced to play extra time with 10 men. Critics linked his dismissal to the eventual defeat, although one red card alone cannot fully explain the outcome of an entire World Cup final. While all of that was unfolding, Messi was left devastated on the MetLife pitch, later saying, "They were better, to be honest." Messi summed up the defeat in just 4 words. Fernandez took a very different approach, posting 3 full paragraphs without directly addressing the red card or the controversy surrounding the way he left the final. Put the finger wag beside that Instagram post, and it is easy to see why the reaction kept growing. Then came part 4, and another possible twist in Fernandez's future. Real Madrid reportedly slammed the door, potentially shutting down what had looked like one possible escape route from an increasingly complicated situation at Chelsea. The noise around Fernandez and Chelsea had actually started before the World Cup. Back in March, during a YouTube interview, Fernandez said he would like to live in Spain and would like to live in Madrid. Those comments quickly became a major talking point around his future. Chelsea responded by suspending him for 2 matches. One of their key midfielders was suddenly out of the team after comments the club reportedly viewed as a public show of disloyalty. His agent, Javier Pastore, strongly challenged that decision. He told The Athletic that the punishment was completely unfair, that there was no real reason or justification, and that Fernandez did not understand why the club had taken that action. The warning signs were already there before the World Cup turned everything upside down. Fernandez's relationship with Chelsea appeared seriously strained, and his agent made that tension public. He did not understand it. Those were his agent's words after Chelsea punished a player who had openly talked about wanting to live in Spain and Madrid. And once that suspension ended, Pastore kept the pressure coming. Contract talks had reportedly stalled, and Pastore told reporters that Fernandez would explore his options after the World Cup. Real Madrid was widely presented as the biggest possible destination. Chelsea reportedly wanted £120 million, a monster price tag. But for a while, reports suggested even that valuation had not completely scared Madrid away. For Fernandez, it looked like there could actually be a road out of Stamford Bridge. Then, everything started stacking up. The red card arrived. Reports of a tunnel confrontation followed. Then came brutal headlines portraying Fernandez as Argentina's World Cup villain. Chelsea had already deleted their own celebration post, and suddenly, reports linking him with Real Madrid began cooling down. A dream move that once looked possible now appeared to be slipping away. In one chaotic tournament, Fernandez had gone from Argentina's semi-final hero to one of the most controversial figures among English football fans. And with no other club reportedly prepared to match Chelsea's massive valuation, the transfer market that once looked like his way out of Stamford Bridge suddenly seemed much narrower. And now Chelsea are stuck with an even more awkward situation. New manager Xabi Alonso has publicly indicated that he wants Fernandez to stay at Stamford Bridge. But that opens another question. Is Alonso genuinely determined to build around Fernandez, or is Chelsea dealing with a problem that simply has no easy solution while his valuation remains so high? Part 5 is where the pressure follows him back to England. Stamford Bridge is waiting, and the tension could get worse instead of fading away. Reports around the club suggest Fernandez could be preparing for one of the toughest receptions of his career, and the noise may not be limited to rival supporters. Away grounds across England could become hostile territory, especially among fans who remember watching him cup his ears and blow that kiss after scoring against England. Football crowds rarely forget moments like that quickly, and Fernandez could find himself under the microscope every time he touches the ball. Every bad touch could be jumped on. Every misplaced pass could trigger another wave of noise. One costly mistake could be all it takes for frustrated supporters to let their feelings be heard. That is the reality when a player becomes the center of a controversy this big. The World Cup may be finished, but the reaction surrounding Fernandez could follow him straight back into club football. Fernandez already knows how quickly football can become personal. After Chelsea lost the Carabao Cup final to Liverpool, a Liverpool supporter taunted him as he walked up the Wembley steps. Fernandez turned back, locked eyes with the supporter, and a teammate pulled him away before the exchange could become more heated. It was a quick moment, but it showed how easily emotions can spill over after a painful defeat. That happened after losing a cup final to a major rival. This time though, the baggage is much heavier. He is returning to England, where the Falklands War remains a deeply sensitive subject and where families still remember the British personnel who died during the conflict. Then you add what happened around the semi-final, and the whole situation gets even more complicated. Several of Fernandez's Argentina teammates appeared with that banner only minutes after he had blown a kiss toward England supporters. Fernandez was not alone in the banner incident, but because the cameras were already locked onto him, his name became heavily connected to the controversy. And now comes the difficult part for Chelsea. His options may be limited. Fernandez had already spoken about wanting to live in Madrid, but reports of a possible Real Madrid move later cooled. No other club has reportedly matched Chelsea's huge valuation, while Xabi Alonso has publicly indicated that he wants to keep the midfielder. With the new Premier League season approaching, Fernandez could walk straight back into a serious pressure cooker. How will Chelsea supporters receive him? How hostile will opposition crowds become? And what happens when every tackle, misplaced pass, argument, or reaction is suddenly examined like it means something bigger? And this is where Fernandez's past starts coming back into the picture. Before this World Cup storm, there was already the Copa America racist chant video controversy, followed by an apology after the backlash. Then came Chelsea's punishment over his Madrid comments, with his agent saying he did not understand the club's decision. One incident after another has kept his name in the headlines for reasons beyond football. Now stack up everything that followed. The ear-cupping celebration toward England supporters, the Falklands banner controversy involving several Argentina players, the World Cup final red card, the finger wag as he walked away, then the Instagram post that did not directly apologize for the sending off. Put those moments side by side, and critics argue that a pattern is starting to emerge. Fernandez now returns to the Premier League carrying all of that baggage, while his possible escape routes appear limited. Reports around Real Madrid cooled. No other club has reportedly matched Chelsea's valuation, and even Chelsea deleted its celebration post after supporters reacted. So did Enzo Fernandez help build his own nightmare? Or has he also become an easy target for some of the anger surrounding England's painful World Cup exit? The answer may sit somewhere between those extremes. Fernandez made choices that intensified the scrutiny. The celebration, his involvement around the banner, the Madrid comments, the sarcastic applause, the challenge on Kubasi, the finger wag, and the Instagram post. But not every part of the wider controversy belongs to him alone. Every controversy added another layer to the story. And now, Fernandez carries all of it back to London, back to Stamford Bridge, and back into an English football atmosphere where plenty of supporters have not forgotten what happened over the summer. The incredible goal, the kiss toward England fans, the banner controversy involving several Argentina players, the World Cup final red card, the finger wag, the Real Madrid links cooling down, and now a return to Chelsea with cameras watching his every move. One tournament created a whole stack of controversial moments, and now Fernandez could be heading into one of the most tense Premier League returns of the season. What happens when he walks onto the Stamford Bridge pitch for the first time? Do Chelsea supporters put everything aside and back their midfielder, or have the events of the summer permanently changed the way some fans see him? And there is another question worth asking. Was that ear-cupping celebration the moment that made everything afterward feel even bigger? If Fernandez had scored, celebrated normally, and walked back to the halfway line, would the banner, the red card, the finger wag, and everything else have been viewed differently? Or would the controversy have followed him either way? Most importantly, can Enzo Fernandez rebuild his reputation at Chelsea through his performances this season? A few huge games can change the conversation in football very quickly, but some moments stick around much longer than players expect. Fernandez now has to find out which way this story goes. Drop your take in the comments because I want to know exactly where you stand on this one. If you enjoyed the breakdown, show Matchio some love by hitting the like button, subscribing to Matchio for more football stories, and turning on notifications so you do not miss what comes next. Share this video with that friend who always has something to say when football drama kicks off, and keep it locked on Matchio for more of the biggest stories, controversies, and talking points from across the game. Thanks for watching Matchio. Catch you in the next one. Peace.